and say, sign up when what you're interested in, and tell me when you're not going to be here. And in addition to that, I let people know sometimes what you sign up for, you're not going to get. Why? Because as VP, I'm the dictator. I'm going to decide what's best for the club and pushing people towards growth. That push comes from you as you make it the best. And you challenge everybody with that administration, with that schedule. You do that by, once again, talking with the people. I emphasize talking, not emailing. If you haven't seen somebody in a while, talk to them on the phone, find out what's going on. If you really can't get a hold of them, text them. But avoid email, because people at this point just disregard so much email. They get too much of it. It is not a powerful communications tool to finding out how to administrate your club. In addition to the administration of the schedule and the members and their goals, you also have to be aware of the mentor program, because that's so powerful. You get a list of who's eligible to be a mentor, and that is a judgment call. Some person may have been in your club for years, but you don't want them going near any new members. So be aware of that. It's your judgment call. Get a list of mentors, and then when somebody comes in, talk to them. Say, hey, who did you find in the club that you think might be a good mentor? Note it down. Make sure the mentor and the mentee hook up and connect and know what they need to do for those first few speeches as they get the people into the club. That administration will build an excellent club that will fulfill the mission and in turn make you get the chance to whip up some great DCP goals. And speaking of whipping up some good times, please help me introduce and welcome Mike Daley for the VPM role.
Thank you, Brendan, for putting the vice back in the vice presidency. What my dictatorial friend forgot to tell you is we all have a role in Toastmasters. And vice president of membership is a great role, and let me tell you why, people. It's all in writing. You know that pledge that we just went through? Not too efficiently. That pledge is the mission of a Toastmasters club. You, as the vice president of membership, are the person who should know that membership pledge, so that all of the members know what they should expect from you in the club. It's important because everybody in your club has certain educational goals that they have to reach. Now, the mission's already written out for you, so all you have to do is read it. The other part is your responsibility to help educate new members on the educational program. You know what this is. It's the Competent Communicator Manual. We have a manual. All you have to do is read through this manual, and it tells you everything you need to know. Because the new members have no idea what we do. They walk in and they hear DTM, lowly ACV. They have no idea what that means. But it's all in the manual. The manual will train you on how to tell new club members what they need to do to achieve their educational goals to fulfill that mission we just read. So it's crucially important for you to just read the materials as the VPM. And also, in helping the new members meet their educational goals, it's important to keep them on track. How many people here received their CL before their Competent Communicator?
I have.
Everyone here should receive their Competent Leader Educational Award before their Competent Communicator Educational Award. Why? It's so much easier to get all the requirements down. But the Vice President of Membership is the person who keeps you on track for both the Competent Leader and the Competent Communicator educational goals. Remember, you have to complete all 10 speeches in the CC manual. And you have to get everybody in your club on a schedule. How many people here know somebody who took over a year and a half to receive their Competent Communicator educational award? Okay, that shouldn't happen. Because you, as the Vice President of Membership, have an obligation to keep people on track. You want them to get their educational goals within that first year. It helps them. so that we can fulfill our mission, but it also helps the club so that the club gets proper points, so we can be distinguished clubs, which shows how successful we are in getting people motivated and following our mission statement. So when new members come along, give them the CC manual, go through it with them to explain what everything means, and then put them on a schedule. And make sure that you follow up with them so that they get their educational awards, the competent communicator and competent leader, within 1 year. And you'll see the change in your club, because keeping people on track is a great way of keeping a club on track. Now we have 2 goals and 1 requirement. 2 goals are get 4 members, and then get what else?
4 more members.
4 more members. Now it's not get 8 members. It's get 4 members, and then get 4 more members. You know why? It sounds so much easier than get 8 members. Get 4 members. That's an immediate goal. As a vice president of membership, you are responsible for getting people to sign up for the club. You want to make sure that they have a good time. Get 4 of them in, and then immediately, as soon as you get that first 4th member in, what do? You start getting 4 more. Right, that'll keep you on track. There's also another requirement. Who here knows what charter strength is? I'll ask the highfalutin DTMs back here. What's charter strength, David Small?
20 members.
20 members. It's a requirement to keep 20 members. And if you don't have 20 members, get 5 new members. Let me tell you, I have been a member of a club that has 40 members. And I've been a member of a club that had 5. Guess which one was more fun? Come on, give me a guess. Jim's speaking again today. You want to have charter strength, and if not, get as many members as you can. Get new people in. New people are the lifeblood of a Toastmasters club. Otherwise, you're stuck with all of these people. I don't think you want to be there.
Mike, what's this magic number 8? Where does the number 8 come from? Why do they say 8?
Geez, that's a good question. I think it's one of those arithmetic 40% of charter strength, according to Nicole.
You think you lose 40% of your members a year on average? Is that it, maybe?
Your clubs, it might be a little higher.
I'm just asking.
Nice one.
Yeah, that keeps you up at charter strength. And that's what they're pointing out, is you're going to lose membership. It's going to happen. Because people will start the program, and then they'll realize, oh my gosh, the kids have to go to baseball practice at that time. Or they might just decide that that club that you're in isn't for them. So you're going to lose people. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, because you're always going to be adding new people to the club. And remember, you're adding new evaluators to the club. I can't stand hearing the same old thing from the same old evaluator at every meeting. I want to hear new things from new people. This is how you get that goal accomplished. Now, to give you more important and incisive information on public relations, the one thing that I've just been fearful of, please welcome back Tanya Jansen.
Public
Yay.
relations.
What is public relations? Do I just send out a bunch of email like my friend Brendan does? No. I have to get the word out in a creative way, and let me tell you why. I'm the district public relations officer. When I send those district-wide emails, do you know how many people open them, percentage-wise? Give me a guess.
100.
20%.
20 to 25%. Even in your club emails, those are only going to get about a 50% open rate. And these are people who've signed up and they've said they want to be with you. They're committed to coming to meetings, but only half of them are opening your emails. That tells you you've got to get the word out in a more creative way. We could place ads in papers if our membership is really low. We could go online and use Craigslist. We could start a Facebook page. We could even walk over to that coffee shop that's across the street from our meeting place and post a flyer if they let you do it there. These are wonderful ways to do it. I would still recommend doing your club newsletters as an email to the members, but don't expect everyone to read it. Get out there, be creative, publicize, build relationships with people so that they remember, and then the next person to do PR has an even easier job, and then you're bringing people through the doors so that Mike can schedule them.
It's nice to be back. How have you all been? Has the program been going great since I last talked to you? All right. That's what I want to hear. Each one of you, vice presidents of membership, should do something to make things fun for both the club and for prospective members. And what I would suggest to you is you hold 2 special club meetings every year. 2 special club meetings. And they're called membership events. You might have heard of an open house. And that's where you invite people. Let people in your town know about your club. You can post your club flyer anywhere. You can put it on your club website, put it on your newsletter. Invite 2 people in for 2 special membership meetings each year. Now, how many of you people here are in a club that has had a member since 1970? Come on, raise your hand. Hey, when was the last time you held a meeting to recognize that person? If you did it in the last year, raise your hand. Ooh, see, I have had a member in my club since 1970. Dick Nixon was in the White House. 1970 was before Tanya was born. That's a long time to be a Toastmaster. Do you imagine how many times this guy has been through the Company Communicator Manual? He was in Toastmasters when there was another organization called Toastmistresses. That should be celebrated. We had Hubert Raber night at Diablo 598. We celebrated Hubert and we bought him a plaque and we invited Toastmasters from everywhere. And everyone had a great time. And we got 3 new members for doing it. So host special meetings, publicize them, and get people to your club. When you make things fun, people want to join you. When you don't make things fun, people walk out the door. Now, membership drives are not fun. They're not fun because not many of us like to say, hey buddy, why don't you come join my club? You ready? Come on, join us, let's go. It's hard to do, but it's a necessary function of what we do. And you as leaders need to understand that. So participate in the membership drives. Can anybody here tell me what the membership drives are that we have? Come on.
Oh, I just did.
Okay, good. One of them is beat the clock. Beat the clock. If you beat the clock and get 5 new members, you might win something. But what you're really going to win is new members. We also have Talk Up Toastmasters and the Smedley Award. Who here knows who Ralph Smedley was? Raise your hand. Come on.
Cartoon element of the 1960s.
This is 100% response. Ralph Smedley founded Toastmasters. So we have a special membership contest for the Smedley Award. It's a good time also to let people know we've been around forever. So use these programs to get new members, publicize them, and make things fun. When you get new guests in, what do? You just say, hey, why don't you go sit down next to the gal in purple and see what's going on? And we won't come back and talk to you. And you can leave. You can't do that. Why? If you walked into a club and you didn't know anybody and no one talked to you, are you going to come back? No way. I went to my first Toastmasters Club meeting. I sat down and everybody came over and introduced myself. And the VPM did something very smart. The VPM said, let me introduce you to our president, and our president can talk to you about Toastmasters. You want to greet new guests, make them feel comfortable, give them somebody who they can identify by name. Always best to wear a name badge when a new member is at your club. Let them know your name, use their name. Be on a first name basis with them, because then they'll tell you what they're looking for. And if you tell me what you want, I'll give it to you. All vice presidents of membership should have that same attitude. Get to know them, let them tell you what they want, and then you can close the sale. Closing the sale is far easier than you would think. Because people come to a Toastmasters club because they want to be better speakers and leaders. They're here for a reason. They didn't stop by because they wanted to get a new pin for their lapel. Close the sale by letting them know, this program has helped me tremendously. I started out stuttering, I was horrible, I couldn't control my body. Now, I'm about below average. All right? Let them know that. Because you're going to bring them in so you can close the sale and get them to sign up. Have your membership application out. Have it prepared. And something important that I learned is a trick for you guys. And I don't think they taught people this at the regular training session. Put yourself in as the person who referred the new member to the club. When you get 10, you get a stylish new pin. Or you get 15, you get a tie. Come on now. We're talking about free swag. You want that.
Do I still get a tie from a girl?
I think it's a very stylish scarf. Yes, with the whole TMI logo on it. Or you can get the trucker's cap. Now
Trucker's cap, that one.
That one I really like. And here's something else. How many people love to bring new members into your club? Raise your hand.
We all do.
All of us should. All of us should. That's job one for BPM. It's job one for every officer. You know what job 1.5 is? Keep the people you have. If you can keep the people you have, you don't have to worry about that 40% leaving. How do you know that you're giving the people who you have in your club what they need?
Talk to them.
Talk to them. Give them a survey every year. I would suggest every 6 months. You can go on SurveyMonkey on the internet and fill out a form. Have your club members let you know how you're doing as a leadership group and what they want. I found out that a lot of new speakers wanted to hear more experienced speakers give speeches each meeting. So they wanted to see new speakers and experienced speakers, not just all new speakers, not just all experienced speakers. So we do our best to try to shuffle the meetings so that we get a little bit of everything. And you know what? We have been able to retain more members just off of that one issue. Find out what they want and keep them happy. Now, please give a warm round of applause for your Sergeant at Arms, David Small. David, don't suck.
Sorry about that. Well, you may have heard a lot of stuff about a lot of different officers. How many of you are sergeants at arms?
Yay!
Everybody look at them. You're jealous of them. You know why? I don't have to go for a long time discussing their impact to your DCP. It's very simple, it's very straightforward, and the simplest and most straightforward, usually the truest. Sergeant at Arms is responsible for all of the environment and facilities of your club. That means they make sure the room is ready. That's important. If the room isn't ready, it's not going to be an effective meeting, an effective recruiting tool for new members. They are the chair of the hospitality committee. Do you guys have hospitality committees? You can form one, or you can be your one-man hospitality committee. That means you greet the guests warmly. Hi, I'm David. Use your name, not mine. And according to the manuals, you should then direct them to the officers. But I don't do that. I direct the officers to them. I go to the president, who opens the club meeting for my home club, and I say, "Psst, this is this guest's name." That way, when the president gets up, he's really smart. He says, hello, guest by name, introduces them, and then everybody knows their name. Everybody can greet them by name. And when you use people's name, they feel welcome, more likely to join. Greet them by name, point them to the officers, or point the officers to them, slip the president their name, make sure the room's set up, and have them sign the guest book. It's all pretty straightforward about making guests feel like this is a good environment and I want to become a part of it. It's that simple. Hope I didn't suck. Now I'll pass it off to Brent.
Thank you so much, David. So, comes to the heart of the matter. Which officer role is the most important?
Sergeant at Arms.
Get down there, boy.
we
EPM.
I'm speaking, you people.
You asked the question.
I tell you, yeah, let me finish it. Okay. For keeping and getting new members. What's the most important position? It is the Vice President of Education. And to prove it to you, I'm going to share a sad tale from my childhood. When I was a young boy, I watched a thing called TV, and they had these things called commercials. And I don't know if any of you have ever seen a commercial and said, you know what, I got to go out and buy that. And you go out and buy it, and you get a little disappointed. Well, it happened for me big time with a TV dinner by Libby's called Libby the Kid. And I still remember the commercial. This guy, this animated character says, I'm Libby the Kid. That's Billy the Kid spelled sideways, sort of. I can still remember this commercial from decades ago. And it had neat graphics and little adventure and prizes. And I bugged my mom, TV dinners, TV dinners, TV dinners, Libby the Kid. One day, she did purchase the Libby the Kid Salisbury steak for me. I could not wait to get home to dig into my Libby the Kid Salisbury steak. We cooked it up. It smelled good. It looked good. It tasted not good. That was the last Libby the Kid dinner I ever ate. I can still remember the great advertising, the great excitement and anticipation, and sitting down to share my Libby the Kid with just me. And then, never again. If you have a great PR campaign, great sales techniques, great sergeant at arms, and you serve up a Libby the Kid Salisbury steak type meeting, you will not gain and retain membership. VPE, you have to think. My motto for you is no brain, no gain. When it comes to membership, no brain, no gain, you have to make sure you serve up quality meetings. If those meetings aren't quality, they're like Libby the Kid Salisbury steak, which is a pejorative, not a compliment. So be aware of that. And what can you do? We're professionals in Toastmasters. We don't have professional time counters, timekeepers, off counters, and all that. We don't. But you as the leader have to inspire and motivate people and give them the information they need in order to fulfill their roles effectively. You have to guide them. That is your joy of service leadership, helping people grow in their ability to serve up a quality product, which is your main sales tool. Getting people there is one thing, but if it's a Salisbury steak by Libby the Kid, it's going downhill. They're not coming back. And in fact, if you have one bad meeting, yeah, maybe your membership will continue on. But if you start to have 2 or 3 bad meetings in a row, then you start going downhill quick. People just don't come back. Why? Because their needs aren't being met. Just like that terrible Salisbury steak. So be aware that you have to use your brain to make that meeting great. And you're working with volunteers. Some volunteers know how to do great meetings. Other volunteers do not. How do you do that? We could discuss that for the next 3 hours. But using your brain and saying, hey, this member is going to be a great Toastmaster. This member not so much, but you're assigned. How can I help you succeed? I saw some great things with newer members recently at a meeting where they were fulfilling the roles for the first time. And they forgot certain things. And you know what they did? They said, oh, I forgot. And they went back and fixed it and everything was fine. So it's not about perfection, but it's about making a quality event and a quality experience for your new members, your new guests, your new members, and of course your old members. And to do that, there's one other thing that you really want to do, and is have that mentor program, because experienced members help inexperienced members, and they both gain from that share of knowledge. So that is another way to retain members, using your brain to serve up something that is quality. And finally, variety. If you have some fun meetings, some theme meetings, make every event special. My home club meets around noon on Wednesdays. It's perfect. It's in the middle of the week. If I'm having a bad work week and I go to a great Toastmasters meeting, I am energized. I am inspired. It has a positive effect on what I do when I go back to my gray, old, ugly-looking cubicle. So this can make a very big difference in people's lives, and that's what Toastmasters is all about. So to gain and retain, please use your brain, because without that, there is no gain of new memberships. But when it comes to members, we also have to take care of the financials. To discuss that, please help me welcome Nicole DuPuis.
Fellow Toastmasters and fellow officers. Now, not to insult my esteemed yet rowdy colleagues over here, they've all been talking about VPEs, VPMs, PR. There is one officer role that every other officer depends on. Finish this phrase: blank makes the world go round. And it's not it is money. Every single goal that these folks over here want you to achieve cannot be done without the treasurer helping them out, giving them money, and also importantly, filling out the paperwork correctly. As treasurer, you want to make sure that your new members are going to be known by Toastmasters International. They're going to receive their manuals, they're going to be getting emails and whatever communications that TI is going to send out. So you need to ensure that their paperwork is filled out correctly, and you need to submit that paperwork. Does anybody have an idea how quickly you want to submit a new member form? Shout something out. Say like 24 hours. That's a good guess. I would go with 24. TI says 48, but 24 is my personal goal. So all of you treasurers out there, TI says 48, but as soon as you can get it in. I mean, how many of you have given a check to somebody and waited? You're balancing the checkbook at the end of the month, the check hasn't been cashed yet. Get those checks in and have the paperwork submitted within 48 hours. The other challenge for you treasurers is to ensure that dues are collected and that you collect the correct amount of dues. How many of you have read the membership form? TI membership form? How many of you have tried to fill out the price? And it's not like October or April, and you're trying to figure, okay, prorate here and carry the one, and you're getting out your calculator or your iPhone or whatever. You should, as treasurers, understand that payment schedule. If your club has dues, you need to include that as well. You need to make sure you collect the right amount. And even more importantly, because I know all you treasurers are brilliant and great with money, but what I want you to do is train all these guys over here so that if you're not there or there's 12 guests and each officer is trying to talk to a guest, make sure that they also understand how to fill that out and get the right amount of money. You also have the fun task of creating a budget and making sure that your club's money is spent. So you create the club budget, you decide with your fellow officers how to spend the money, you make sure that you have enough money to cover what you want to do, and the most important thing, and when I do when I do treasurer's training, all hour treasurer's training, I ask my treasurers to only leave with this one thought, if nothing else.
Show me the money.
Well, besides that, I ask them to all write me checks, but no. Spend all your club's money in the year you collected it. Because personally, I don't know about you, if I'm handing over $2 a month, I want that to be spent for my benefit and not to sit in some bank account and be collecting 2 pennies of interest to be spent on some member 5 years down the road. The idea is you collect this money, They're entrusting it to you, the club officers, and especially the treasurers, so please spend your money. I don't want to hear about clubs who have $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 in their account. That is a bad thing. And if you end up keeping that money in your account and then somehow your club folds, do you know where that money goes?
Dennis!
And we don't want to be supporting Dennis and giving him more money, so spend your money. Please spend your money. And with that, I'm going to bring up your district governor to talk to you a little bit more about another important, yet not as important treasurer officer role.
When I got out of my college program and had my bachelor's degree in English, I went to find a job as an English and could not find it. So I took a job that was offered based on my skills. I became a secretary. Not a secretary, but a secretary. How many secretaries?
You were a typist.
A file clerk.
I hate to say this, but I was promoted to typist at the time. No. Actually, I started as an editor, and then I was promoted to typist, and I explained to them I could also use a telephone, and they made me a secretary. I had to get 2 promotions to reach secretary. I was being a little bit hyperbolic there when I started. Are secretaries important?
Yes.
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 Yes, just not as important as
PR.
Here's the deal with the treasurer, or secretary. The secretary is the person who keeps the records, the person who is the keeper of the history of your club, the one who knows what's going on. How many of you have ever insulted or in some way offended an administrative assistant in a company?
Ooh.
Did that have any repercussions on your
I didn't get a job there.
Let me tell you, I will step on the toes of the CEO before I will ever say anything to offend the secretary, because she is the only person in the company who knows how to get things done.
Or he.
Or he.
In your case, which one?
In this case, it's a she. It's okay, and I wasn't a secretary. It's okay. Secretaries are the people who know how everybody else operates. What's nice about the secretary role, it's got the thinnest book, it's got the fewest defined requirements. But that means you have the most freedom to help all of the other officers do what they do. And you'll talk to secretaries. Well, I'm the secretary, all I do is take the role and send out the weekly newsletter for the VPPR. I just make sure that all of the membership forms get sent in on time for the vice president of membership. The secretary is the person who is the mortar of the club, fills in all the gaps and helps people out to be sure that things run properly. But we're talking right now about making your members happy, keeping your members. Can a secretary do anything to keep members happy and retain them?
Yes.
What would you suggest?
Making sure officers get trained.
Sending them off to training? Yes, you're jumping ahead in the outline, that's fine. I got it right here, Dennis.
I'm advanced.
Every time anyone got an educational award last year, when I was the Lieutenant Governor of Education and Training, I sat down and took about 3 minutes and I wrote 3 sentences on a postcard. Congratulations on obtaining your Competent Communicator Award. The Competent Communicator Award, I don't know what I said now, it's been so long, and then I would encourage the person to continue on toward the next educational goal. But the key to this was that I sat down and wrote a personal note to that person in ink on a postcard and sent it in the mail. When was the last time you got a nice note, handwritten, in the mail that didn't come from someone over the age of 50 who was a blood relative? Never. That's right. So people still come up to me now and say, Dennis, thank you so much for that postcard. It really meant something. Between the bills, between the ads, somebody wrote a personal note. And that's what a secretary can do. Every time somebody in your club earns an award, just send them a nice letter. You see, my wife hates Toastmasters. She wishes I were not here today. She wants me to be home, mowing the lawn or something.
Some people here think so too.
That's right. Thank you so much. And so when I go home and I say, hey, look, I've got a plaque. She, yeah, put it on the wall over there with the others, you know, that sort of thing. Yeah, don't show it to me. My wife does not like to know about it. The problem is, in fact, if I come home from a Toastmasters event without a plaque, she thinks I'm having an affair. So I don't get the kind of feedback at home that I would hope. Send a nice note. That's what a secretary can do. That gives the kind of recognition, the personal touch that keeps people tied to the club. But it's not just people who earn awards that the secretary can honor in this way. If you have a trash can in your meeting place, is it emptied?
Yes.
Yes. Does that happen magically?
Yes.
Or
House elves.
in Brendan's case it does, and I believe him. There's someone who comes to empty the trash. Dear janitor person, name him or her by name. Thank you so much for keeping the room so tidy. Every time we come to the meeting, it is such a clean and well-lighted place. It makes our meeting that much more successful. I know that people don't take the time to thank you as often as they should. I appreciate what you do. Right. Do you meet in a restaurant? Sit down. Thank you so much, Mr. Manager. When we come to your restaurant, the food is served efficiently and quietly. Everyone has a good meal and a good time as a Toastmaster. We couldn't do that without the space that you provide and the excellent service. One letter like that a year is going to keep everything on an even keel. That's what the secretary can do. That personal touch with individual notes. It helps with your members. It helps with everybody the club interacts with. Because there are two more goals in the DCP we haven't talked about yet. They're administrative goals. We've done the educational stuff. We've done the membership stuff. There are two easy peasy, 1, 2, 3 easy points that you can directly affect. You can't earn all the CCs for your club. You can only earn one toward a DCP point per year per club. All right? So you can't be the one who does all the education awards. But the first thing you have to do is make sure that 4 out of your 7 officers are trained. How many officers would we like to see trained? All. 7 out of 7. The distinguished club, the president's distinguished clubs in our district, the ones that earn all 10 points, how many officers would you guess they have trained every training cycle?
4.
7 out of 7. Without fail, 7 officers trained, President's Distinguished Club. 7 officers, President's Distinguished. Is there a correlation? Heck yeah. Yeah. And the other thing, and by the way, thank you all. Thank you all for coming. You can go back to your club with that smug expression. I did my part. And you still have a chance to do yours. There will be training in this area, in fact, in the next week. So we can finish that off. The other one is to send in your officer list, the mailing list for your officers, and your dues on time once a year. There are 2 times you send in your officer list. You send them in December, you send them in June. You're telling the world headquarters who the incoming officers are going to be. Why is it important, would you say, to have an accurate officer list at world headquarters?
Well, you need the TI needs to know who the president is so that we can get emails on events.
Oh, shh. Yes, that's exactly right. Thank you. That is exactly the reason. TI needs to contact your club. They contact your club through the president. If your president has moved to Guam and quit the club, and you did not update your officer list, all that good information is going to Guam. And your president is sitting on the beach, sipping a Mai Tai, and ignoring all that information that you need. It is absolutely crucial, and that's why they make it part of the Distinguished Club program. All of these goals, educational goals, having CCs and ACs, the goal to increase your membership, turning in your forms on time, and turning in your dues on time. Do you notice anything about these goals? Every one of them is an absolute, concrete, measurable goal that tells your area governor, your division governor, your district governor, world headquarters, how healthy your club is. The Distinguished Club program, if you're a distinguished club, that doesn't mean you're a great club. That means your club has a pulse and it's going to continue another year. You want a President's Distinguished Club. That's a club that is strong, thriving, and growing because you're paying attention to your membership, you're paying attention to your educational goals, and you're paying attention to your administrative goals. If you're not paying attention to all areas, your club is actually suffering. It's hurting. It's not as effective as it could be. All of these goals, is anything difficult here? Really? Bringing in members? You bring in members all the time, don't you? Do you earn educational awards? Do you use your manuals? Yep. It's easy. All of these are easy things to do. And these two in particular, turning in your dues on time, submitting your officer list, and attending training, you have complete control over them. And you do them well. But how do you know when it's time to turn in the dues? And who is the person who's going to control that for your club? That person is the treasurer. So we'll bring Nicole back here.
I didn't hear that. Who's the person who's going to tell you when to turn in your dues on time? Treasurer. You guys are all Toastmasters and you're very quiet. No quiet Toastmasters allowed. All right. Unfortunately, or fortunately, as a treasurer, you do have some deadlines. I believe it was Scott Adams who said, I love deadlines, especially when they're wishing by me. However, as treasurers, not a good idea to let those deadlines go by. Who can tell me when dues are collected? Or dues are due, pardon me. Dues are due? That's always fun to say. Dues are due.
April 1st and
Zoom.
April and
October 1 and April 1?
October 1st and April 1st. Very good. So that means you will be starting to collect dues in August and February. August and February. Very good, yes. As a treasurer, you want to start collecting early. Now I have another quiz question for you. How many members do you need to collect dues from in order to send them into TI and qualify as being on time? 100. 100. We have 100 on the table. Anybody else have another guess?
17.
We got 6. That's right. You can send in dues to Toastmasters International, and if you have 6 members, dues collected, go ahead and send them in. If people are late, it's okay, but get those first 6 in there. You've made your on time, and then as your members start turning in their dues, you can send them in and continue to send them in. But you want to make sure that you get at least 6 people turned into TI prior to the deadline. Okay, now I'm sorry. I have to say these 3 not fun letters. IRS. Okay, as treasurers, there is a requirement for all entities, what do we call them? All nonprofit organizations to file what's called a 990N. And what's interesting is basically it's you as a treasurer who needs to ensure that gets done, but the notification goes to the president. So you need to start pestering your president. You have till May 15th to file this. And because I was preparing to give my treasurer talk today, I thought, that'll be really cool. So I went out and filed my 99N last night, and I gave myself like an hour. It took me 5 minutes. It's really quick. You click on the little website. TI has like pages. It takes you longer to read the instructions than it actually takes you to do it. It's really, really simple. But if you are confused about it, have never done it before, TI does have step-by-step instructions on the website. You just go out to Toastmasters.org and say taxes, and they've got this little PDF for you. Now, we also happen to be in the lovely state of California, and California does enjoy paperwork and things like that. So California also has its own tax filing that is new for this year. and it's called a 199N, and it's also due on May 15th. The catch with this is you cannot start filing until you get an email from Toastmasters International, because it requires something called an entity number that TI is trying to collect for all the clubs in California, and they will send the email again to the president with your entity number, and then you need to go out before May 15th and file this new 199N. Haven't seen it yet because we don't have our entity numbers yet, but I'm hoping it's as simple as what we have to do for the 990N, and I'll keep my fingers crossed on that one. Of course,
Certain thresholds, though, there weren't certain thresholds, whether you need to file the 99
you have to. What the 990N is, and I just read it last night, it used to say for any group that makes less than $25,000 a year, and if your Toastmasters Club is bringing in $25,000 a year, I will join. But actually, it's now less than $50,000 is what the new postcard says. So as long as your club is staying under $50,000 a year, you have to file it. But I'm not sure what I'm assuming that the 199N is either 25 or 50,000 as well, but we'll find out more as we get our entity numbers. But that is, in a nutshell, the important tasks that you, as the most important officer role in the club treasurers, need to do. And
But Nicole DuPuis, I'm a treasurer, and they don't send the email to me, they send it to the president. What's up with that?
how do you answer that?
That sounds up.
I have no idea why they send it to the president instead of the treasurer, but what it does mean is you have to pester your president.
Oh,
You don't
I have a
have a
hunch
He
that
has
it's
a
because a club is required to have a president,
second.
one vice president, any of them, and a secretary. The clubs are not required to have treasurers, so they don't send notifications to treasurers, they send it to presidents. As a treasurer, you have to ask your president if they're getting any interesting mail for you. I'm just guessing though.
You can't trust these district governors for nothing. So I think we've hit all our officer roles about now, right? I don't think there are any more officer roles we need to talk about.
No more roles.
Have we forgotten anything?
Seems to have something you want to say.
I think we have, Ying Sang, did you have something you wanted to talk about? All right, come on up and talk to us about.
All right, point of order. DTM, 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 DTM to B. This year.
I've got it on video, you know.
It's fine. All right, so what does a president do? What does a
Nothing!
Everything,
Lazy son.
Everything, why everything?
because no one else will do it.
Yeah, do we know any presidents like that? Actually, Nicole has first-hand experience being that. It's a really easy trap to fall into. You have the most experience, therefore everybody looks to you for all of the answers, which means you get to do everything. Well, how does that fit in with the mission of the club? Is it a positive environment? Sure, for everyone else, because you're doing everything. Well, how about a mutually supportive environment? Well, if mutually supportive means I'm mutually in favor of supporting you doing everything, then I guess so, that kind of fits. Well, how about fostering self-confidence and personal growth? No. I don't see any of that when the president does everything. So that kind of defeats the whole mission of Toastmasters. The president needs to delegate. So what does a president do if they don't do everything?
Oh, now I say it? Okay. Nothing!
Thank you. Nothing. Why? Why, Dennis?
Let the Vice President of Education do it.
Oh, let the Vice President of Education do everything. Well, let's see how that fits into the mission. Is there opportunity to develop leadership skills? Well, sure, for the VP of Education. supportive. Well, we're all mutually supportive of him doing everything right. But I don't think he would agree. And then, finally, is this a positive learning environment? Well, not when the VP of Education is overworked, resentful, and dissing the president behind her back. Anybody know any VP of Eds like that? Yeah. I was one of those, dissing the president. So what does a president do? 3 things. Sets goals, motivates, and communicates. And we have a technical difficulty here. SMC. And that leads to a very fitting, appropriate acronym. SMAC. First, setting goals. For a club to succeed, it has to have a goal and a plan. Who's responsible for coming up with that?
Go ahead.
The VP of Education, of course. Actually, no. Not the VP of Education, the president. And Toastmasters makes it easy for presidents to set goals. We've got your Distinguished Club program. You can go for Distinguished Club or work a little harder and get to Select Distinguished, or the pinnacle, what comes after Select Distinguished? President's Distinguished, that's right.
Thank God.
So the higher the goal, the more work it'll take, but the more satisfaction you'll get when you attain it. But more importantly, the more satisfied your members will be because you have a successful club. Now that's a positive learning environment. All right, second, motivating. The president motivates the guests by making them feel welcome, setting high standards for club meetings, and the president motivates club members by setting a positive tone. The president is the one that opens the meeting. And they also publicly recognize individual achievements. The president motivates executive committee officers by empowering them to do their jobs. That's the part of delegating we were talking about. And also, again, recognizing them for their service. The president motivates everyone by setting a good example. Attending meeting regularly, preparing for roles, knowing what to do when you're up there in front of the lecture. Now that's what it means by being mutually supportive. Third, communicating. As the presiding officer, the president conducts club business in order to inform the members of district events and to deal with club-related matters such as club finances. It's very important to keep the club members apprised of how you're spending their money. I want to know. The president also runs executive committee meetings. They develop plans, they delegate, take stock of the club's progress, and make adjustments as necessary. In addition, the president acts as liaison to the district, either by participating in area council meetings, or if we don't have area council meetings, keeping in touch with the area governor. Area governors have tremendous resources to help you out when you can't figure things out within your club. Also, very important thing is you as the president act as a liaison to Toastmasters International. Now we have a very important person in our district, Mike Monetaro, who is going to be the next president of Toastmasters International. That is a huge deal because we're talking about the whole of Toastmasters International. Hundreds and thousands of members. How many clubs? this contributes to a positive learning environment in which every member can grow. So, all you presidents out there, don't do
Everything.
and don't do nothing. Just be sure to smack. Here to talk more smack is our esteemed District Governor, Dennis Dawson.
Dennis Dawson, our esteemed district governor, we don't feel that we got everything we needed to know about our roles in that discussion. What you got was the most important things to remember for doing your roles. But if you want to know how to do your roles, every one of you can have a book. When you are the Sergeant at Arms, when you are the Vice President of Education, when you are the President, do nothing. When you are the Vice President of Public Relations, Vice President of Membership. These books are mailed to the President of Record for the prior year in June, May or June. So, if you took over a role in January, you probably were not handed one of these books yet. All right? You need to go ask the person who was the Vice President of Membership, please pass your book forward to me. If the book is lost, if it's been mailed to Guam or what have you, go to Toastmasters.org and you can download these copies as PDF files. Get an electronic copy and print it out. These books tell you everything you need to know about being an effective club officer. All I can say, folks, is RTFM, which means read the manual.
Fun, you must have fun.
Free man.
Yes, that's right.
Free bird.
Read the friendly manual. That's right. In the middle of every manual is one of these little calendars, and it tells you on a month-by-month basis what you should be doing to make your club successful. So all these deadlines we talked about, the 990 yen and all of that, these things are in the books. They're in the instructions. You don't have to remember them. You just have to crack the book. Read it. It's a real thin book. No trouble getting all the way through it in an evening. Refer to it every now and again. Check the calendar, and you'll be sure that you're doing everything you need to do. During the third hour today, we're going to break out and have some nice discussions about typical club problems. If any of you have specific questions about your roles, you can take any of us aside, and we will answer any questions you have about your role. So I don't want anyone leaving today with questions about how to be an effective treasurer, how to be a sergeant at arms. You can grab any one of us, and we will make sure you get everything you need before you leave. Any questions before we take a break?